I'm okay with it sounding messy once in a while if it means it's authentic to you.
I actually probably was one of those people. Like, I used to consider myself an extremely late adopter to anything with technology, super skeptical.
I think that you can use these things as tools to help you be more efficient. I love using AI to help give me ideas, but at the end of the day, I am still the decision maker.
Talk to AI and be like, here's the situation that I have. Like, here's what I'm doing every day. How can we work together? What solutions? And start to let it kind of help you build that, come up with solutions. And then you look like the smartest person in the room.
Welcome to the HR Misfits, the podcast about leadership decisions most organizations get wrong, told from the HR seat that actually sees the fallout. We're business-minded, human-centered, and just bold enough to challenge the people systems that no longer work, where polished playbooks end and real leadership begins. We're the HR leaders who've been in the room when things get messy, political, or uncomfortable, leading with heart, grit, and a little bit of sass. If you believe HR should be a catalyst, not corporate theater, and leadership should actually work for humans, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the HR Misfits. I'm your host, Amy Graves, with the lovely co-hosts, LaToya and Marcy. We're super glad you're here today. We are talking about a topic that's, going to be a fun one today because we have some varying opinions from all of our hosts. We've got LaToya, who I'll call our evangelist, Marcy, who's like, I'm not so sure about all this. And me over here in the middle, just, riding the fence. I tend to do that a little bit too much. I need to just have some stronger opinions sometimes. I've never, ever been told that ever in my life. So don't ask me where that came from. But we're talking about AI in the workplace, AI at home, just AI in general. And I don't know, but I feel like I know this is the conversation every single company, we're all HR departments, all operate, we're all talking about it. And we're talking about it at home too. So I hope you're not bored with this conversation. And if you are, like, you just better get used to it because we're going to be talking about this for years to come. But we're going to dig in. And I just can't wait to hear all of our varying opinions. So let's kick it off. First of all, let me just start by saying, I think we can all agree that we've been here before. Right? We have been in this place where technology is advancing how we work, how we live, how we gather and share information. And it is a scary thing. When the internet first came out, I think there was a lot of, oh my gosh, we're all going to get dumb and not be intellectual because we're going to be Googling. At that time, it wasn't even Googling. It was just, we're going to be interneting, whatever that looked like.
The World Wide Web, actually. Just
the World Wide Web. WWW. That's right. Somehow, I don't know. I guess the jury is still out. I don't think we got dumber. I certainly can see how social media has impacted our kids. But Marcy, come on. You really think we did? Oh, geez. Dude, this is going to be interesting, you guys. Let's dig in. Marcy, let's start with you. I mean, just tell us why you're such a hater. We want to know.
First of all,
she's an AI hater.
Well, first of all, Chat GPT and I got into it today, and I referred to it as crap GPT. So if
hater.
I was like, oh, wow, it's going to come for me in my sleep, like literally Terminator style. For me, it's twofold. So I will say this. When we think about how we operate from a business perspective, do I feel that AI has assisted around operational efficiencies? It's helped streamline processes. It's made us move faster. Absolutely. So I joke, and there's always, some truth in jest, but I have used it, but there's so many limitations to it, what I'm seeing. And there's patterns that I'm starting to pick up on with AI where it's being used to the point where we're all starting to sound the same. If you notice this pattern of when people are writing, for example, or in communication, there's specific patterns and ways that chat, for example, will speak. And I'm picking up on it now. And I'm saying, okay, so where is critical thinking going? So, for example, if I'm in a meeting and I'm sitting with a leader and I'm asking a very specific question, I want to hear from Amy and LaToya. The word artificial is the number one word that is used first before intelligence. So for me, this was never supposed to substitute the human experience. For me, it's how do we utilize it and this is where the two of you can come in, because I'm sure you agree, how can we utilize it to make us faster, more nimble? But we cannot replace humans. And that's where I will die on that hill.
Yeah. I want to say before I get into LaToya's, speaking of how sentences are written and how we're all sounding the same. I wonder if we go back and look at any of the posts that I or we have created for good old HR Misfits on LinkedIn, or would it say, we're not this, but we're that?
We're this.
You know,
It's not that.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
this.
not gonna lie. I mean,
Are you alluding to the fact that we may be using Chat GPT?
What?
Podcast
we ain't
content?
using our
What?
own brains all the time?
Yeah, exactly. We spent hours writing this content.
And it's okay, right? It's okay if once in a while you want to use it, but I'm okay with it sounding messy once in a while if it means it's authentic to you. It's okay if sentence structure is a little all over the place, if you're, presenting. If you're on a stage with the two of you, and I'll use the two of you as an example, I personally, after getting to know both of you, feel you're both very eloquent, very intelligent people who have a lot to offer. But when you get up on a stage or when you're in front of people, you stumble sometimes, right? You misplace a word or you do, but that doesn't matter because I'm paying attention to what the two of you have to offer. I don't care what a computer has to say or an artificial anything has to say. I'm listening to the two of you because you're being authentic and you're living that human experience. So that's what I mean when I come back to yes and instead of oh, we're going to only use AI and it's just this. It's like no, it should be a partnership. It should be a yes and.
Yeah. All right, LaToya, let's hear why you want to wipe out the human race and just go all AI.
Exactly. Because I just want to be besties with a supercomputer because it says everything I want to hear. But no, seriously. I mean, I do think that like going back to where you started, Amy, like I think it's partially because I've lived through this cycle. We've all that like when the World Wide Web started, and then there was this normal cycle of like but then I actually probably was one of those people. Like I used to consider myself an extremely late adopter to anything with technology, super skeptical, learned how to use the internet, but that also was one of those people that thought the world was going to end in Y2K because we went too far we had like 3 years of internet at that point and we were still using AOL. Yeah. But felt like
you stocked up on toilet paper, LaToya, just to make sure.
Exactly. It always
I
mean, I was also like living my best life because I think I just turned 18 too. So I was like, listen, if this is it, like I'm just gonna go all out. Like
that's right.
like YOLO, and apparently it's over. Like I had one good adult year, so I'm gonna make the best of it. But I do feel like I just feel like over time it became like this cycle. It's like, okay, the internet. And then there was like search engines. And then there was, all of these advancements in social media and like all of this like cycle of like, okay, well, first it's like, wait a minute, what is this? It's going to change everything. It's going to change everyone. And then you get to the point where people are like, how do we even operate in our day-to-day lives without it? And like overall, we're all still relatively normal. Like, again, we've been through 3 decades at least, probably us geriatric millennials.
Right.
I just had to call us veteran millennials because I was.
I love that so much better.
So we're gonna.
Yes.
But we've seen like lots of things evolve through technology in our lifetime, and we are still functioning human beings. Like this is part of the evolution of life. Things are going to evolve and change, and it gets better. And what I also saw is from like reflecting, we do this a lot, but we talk about like our parents' generation, right? Like being the products of baby boomers and Gen X, they were very resistant to everything. Everything had a box for everything, and they had like they are not the anti-framework. They believe in a framework for everything. There was a clear path and thing, and they've been resistant over the same 30 years. They've been resistant to everything. And I see a lot of issues with that because like things are slow, but I really saw this. And this is one of the reasons that I wanted to get into HR. One of the lists of after I didn't even know I wanted to be an HR, but wanted to help people because I saw so many people that locked themselves into what they thought was their life path, had one skill set, they locked in on it. And when things changed, they had no backup plan. And so I tell people like, everything is a tool. So you can either jump on the bandwagon and figure out how to make it work for you, or it will eventually work against you. And this is why I feel like we could fight with AI. This is no longer just a concept. It is happening. It is a part of every part of our world, no matter what it is. So it's well beyond ChatGPT. Like that's like baby steps at this
Right.
point. Like it is in everything that we do. And you've got to either learn how to make it work for you, or it's going to eventually like outpace you and you're not going to be relevant in this world. And we saw that. Like I'm still trying to figure out, like my mom calls me at least once or twice a week and asks me if she needs to renew her car insurance because of the spam messages she got that she still doesn't accept spam, because she gets text messages. She's like, well, how would they know my number? And I'm like, see, like I feel like we talk about this a lot. So because she never embraced technology at all from the beginning, and she still is stuck in this cycle of like, she'll use it because she has no choice, but she doesn't know how to use it. And it's actually like, it works against her at this point because she's limited. She can't even pay her bills online because she's like, it's so complex. And for her, this is like detrimental. She's like, I want to write a check and mail it. And I'm like, I mean, technically you could do that, but like, she's like, some of the companies actually just went away from it and they just do emails. And she's like, why would they do that? But it's 2026. That's why they did. They gave you 20 years to get through this, and you're still wondering where to check. So I just said that's why I feel like I think it's a little bit of like, I want to kind of get on the bandwagon and learn it and kind of use it as a co-pilot, literally, no pun intended, but like be like, okay, let's do this together. But I also have seen like what happens when you just want to like work against it and then it starts to work against you.
That's the funny thing, is that I feel the two of us actually are saying similar things, because you keep saying working for you, working with you. So I think that's the piece of it, is that it's not supposed to replace. It's supposed to be something that, to your point, LaToya, which I think is great, is get on the bandwagon with how to use it for you, not it taking over and becoming something that you need to constantly reference because you can't live and function in your daily life without it. And I've seen that where people, they literally use it for everything, to the point where I'm like, hold on a second, are you going to be all right? Because you're typing in your entire life into this chat window, asking it what decisions you should make for the day. And that's where I'm like, time out. Like this is now getting to a dangerous place. And there's been studies and things in the news about people who have allowed it to make some detrimental decisions in
absolutely totally life altering. I will tell you, like, just recently I created, using Claude, what is called Amy's Voice Guide, because I was also getting annoyed with the big M dash. Like, why? Oh my gosh, does AI love the big dash in everything? It's so annoying. And then there's like, there was a lot of like kind of the type of kind of word structure. It's not this, it's that. And that is definitely getting like overplayed.
and old.
So I asked Claude, I'm like, look, I'm kind of tired of all these things. I don't want to sound like you or any AI. I want to sound like me, but I want to like speed up I want to speed up the process of writing things, right? So Claude had me upload several pieces of things that I wrote myself, and obviously nothing confidential or whatever, So there were some work communications, there were some personal ones. It was a little bit of everything. And then it asked me several questions, and then it created this Amy's Voice Guide. Now, funny story, speaking of Marcy, like just taking, if you don't look at it and just keep it moving and just copy paste, you are making a huge mistake, because the very first thing on the top of this document, it said, Amy, I think it was like Amy Fever's guide. And I'm like, who the hell is Amy Fever? First of all, like, you've been talking to me. We've been hanging out. We're friends. Like,
you don't even know my name.
How dare you? I have no idea who that is. So I said, excuse you, don't know who that is, but I'm Amy Graves. And oh yeah, sorry, don't know what happened there. Let me fix that. So, and it fixed it, Next thing I know, I have this guide that's like 2 or 3 pages long, and it was so spot on. Amy uses this type of language. She calls people out by name often in her messages. And I do that. I talk like that sometimes too, where I use people instead of just hi, it's hi Marcy, or it's hi LaToya. I don't think I realized I was doing it that much until the guide put together, you do that a lot, I'm like, oh, okay, well, so, but my point is that I think that you can use these things as tools to help you be more efficient. I love using AI to help give me ideas, but at the end of the day, I am still the decision maker, which means you cannot just do a copy paste and keep it moving. You really do need to pay attention to because the other thing is, somebody said this earlier, LaToya, like AI is going to tell you what you want to hear. Oh, that's a brilliant idea.
Oh my
You are
gosh.
on the right path. And I'm like,
ridiculous.
actually, that was a really terrible idea that I had. You should pull that apart.
That sounds
My
terrible.
my favorite is somebody put like really like was really roasting AI online, and it was like he put this whole video together where he typed in the chat, "Oh, I just hit a parked car," and it was like, "Relax, you did the right thing by telling me."
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" So, and it was like this whole thing of like,
Like the police have a slightly different perspective on that.
That's right.
Cha-cha.
Yeah,
man.
kind of. Mhm.
So it tells you things that you want to hear. And then the other thing I notice is that it will default to language that it feels isn't, it's like for me, mine will say like, "Oh, well, Marcy, that might be seen as too fluffy or, too this." I'm like, says who?
So?
I'm in a human body, bro. Like you're
Yeah.
a robot. Like I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. So
Yeah.
that's the argument we got into today, which was really
Mhm.
funny. And you can prompt it. You can put specific prompts in there to say,
Yeah.
don't say this to me anymore, or this is how I sound. And I think this is where the public is getting antsy over stuff like this, because they're looking at this from this perspective to say, well, so is human and critical thinking out the window because AI is coming for my job and AI can do my job better? And
Right.
I think there's specific things in business that yes, it can be used for, and I think both of you gave really good examples, because you're right, LaToya, at this point, the train's going to keep moving. And so how can you use it with you, but not replace you? And I think
Yeah.
in business, it raises an even bigger question that a lot of people are really heated about right now.
My company, we very recently, I work at a tech company, so we use a lot of AI, right? And we just hired our first chief AI officer. So and we're developing kind of we're in the process right now of working through an AI strategy, whether that's a go-to-market, internally and external, just all the things. There's a lot of energy around that right now, which is very exciting. But I'm also proud that like in our HR, we actually rolled out our meeting HR's first AI bot to help answer questions for employees. So we built this out. We're starting with just managers. It's in a pilot phase right now. And it's real simple. It's things like, a manager could say, "Hey, I've got an employee that's, has some attendance problems. Well, what do I do?" And it'll help answer those questions. It pulls from policies and guidelines and manager toolkits, and it really then it kind of walks the manager through. And of course, there's always those caveats at the bottom that say, "Hey, there is a point where you need to reach out and talk to your HR business partner, right? So this is just to guide you along, but if this is going on, you need to reach out." So it's very informational. It's very informative. It's answers at your fingertips immediately. Will there be some challenges and errors? Of course, we've got to work through perfecting it. But I love this because this is going to take some, how much TBD, but it's going to take some work off of our team's plates so we can do all the things that we really want to do, but we just don't have the bandwidth to do, right?
Yeah.
Not about
And I think
replacing people, just to be clear,
that's
right?
the key. And this is where I think there's all this uproar, right, about AI replacing jobs. If you look
Yes.
at the headlines, like everything else in the media.
Yeah.
And old school me who went to school for communications is like I'm in constant like love-hate relationship with like media, because I'm like the headlines don't tell it all. Are people, it's like fear mongering again. This is the vicious cycle we're in. It's
We're
like
right here.
Yeah.
We're
lead
here.
people to believe that AI is
Yeah.
replacing all the jobs. And it's like, no, in many cases, and we can say this as HR professionals, it is replacing task mostly
Yes.
or work, which is true. That doesn't mean it's replacing people. And so, yes, you can attribute job reductions to that. But let me tell you, as someone who has been working on HR strategy for some years, job reduction was already on the docket. It had nothing to do with AI. Like
That's right.
doing having less resources, being more it's always been that. This is why
Yes.
offshore there's always been like, well, what's the mechanism and the strategy to
Yeah.
help reduce things? And you're going to hear me say this a lot of times. If there are cost synergies to be found, the two places they point first are people and real estate. That's where you get the biggest bang
Yes.
for your buck.
No,
Right.
And so it didn't matter. Like there's always going to be a place to look like that. And the job of those of us that are tasked to like help with these strategies is to figure out what's the best way to do that. And so the need to do more, it's just like with our own personal finances. Like you guys, everybody that listens can relate to this. When I filled up my SUV that I'm trying to trade in for a Pinto because of gas prices. I'm like, the math is not mathing. Like, I can't keep this up. So something's got to change in my financial situation to make it, if I'm going to have to spend $85 a week to fill up my tank. Same thing that companies go through. If we still have the same $100 that we had last week, but we have more things we have to deliver and I still got to do X, Y, and Z, what is it that I could do differently? That's the strategy. It is not, oh my gosh, go out and figure out how many jobs you can and people you could fire for AI to step into the game. What we realize is that there's productivity opportunities. And just like a lot of other things, artificial intelligence does it. And Amy, I think your example is spot on. Like, I'm trying to get there in my own organization to say, like, we understand, like, everyone is on board what it needs. I think there's this balance of trying to make sure we know how to use it. People aren't using it the right way. But I look at the same thing. Do I believe that there are role tasks in the HR organization that will absolutely be obsolete because of getting a chatbot in place? Absolutely. In fact, and I will say this to everyone that I work with, that's the goal, including mine. There are things, let's be honest, I don't want to do it. Do I love, as you guys know, I don't like when people call me and ask me what's the RTO policy that's been posted for a year.
Yeah, look it up.
I would love for you to ask the chatbot so that they could just send it to you. You know how much time we all do save? So it's just like, that's not a valuable use of my time, nor anybody else in the HR organization. And it is just there. Like when people, what's the expense report policy? What's the per diem for? Let me know when you find out. But this feels like we've just wasted a lot of back and forth. And that's the type of thing that we're looking for. What are those things that AI could help make more efficient, more, streamlined, simpler, faster, on demand? And you don't need a human for it. But this is where, Marcy, then our different viewpoints come together. What it doesn't take away, and I think, Amy, you hit it spot on, is like, doesn't replace human interaction. That the chatbot, if I get to a point where they're saying, oh, LaToya, I think you should have the chatbot coach a leader through a difficult employee conversation. I'm kind of feel a lot different about that. Now that's slightly different. I don't know that I feel comfortable letting, Cha-Cha or co-pilot coach my leader through a difficult employee conversation because I can give you all the prompts in the world. That does not replace human empathy. It doesn't tell you what the 20-something years of experience that I have in saying, like, how do people react to these things and using real expertise for that. You cannot feed that just into a technology tool. And that is where I think you got to continue to strike that balance.
Oh, that's why your point is so good. I to be honest, I haven't even considered it. But when you were talking about that, specifically about, AI is kind of this, we've always been looking at ways, I think, to be more efficient. I think about the term that we've heard for so many years, which is do more with less. Isn't that essentially what we're talking about with AI? We're talking about do more with less, or maybe what we're really talking about is instead of working weekends and nights, you just have a normal, regular schedule because AI has helped take 10 hours. Can you imagine it? Right? Like,
I don't even want, then if that's the case, I don't want them to know I have it. I want to pretend like I'm still doing that and then just like work like 3 hours a day.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? I did hear just yesterday or today that Sam Altman's proposing a 4-day work week. And I'm like, listen, I'm not going to make any comments on any of that because I'm not educated enough to know enough about Sam Altman yet. But let me just say, I was like, hallelujah,
Yes, I'm here for it, and get all of my work to the AI bot so that I could work 3 days a week.
Here for it.
But that's where I think it's a like when you can use it for those things. And I've tried to, for those that I see that are concerned, like this is where I see the shift. Because of course you've got companies and they have 30,000 jobs were just eliminated because of AI. And I'm like, okay, first of all, that's probably not the whole story, but let's really unpack that. But people are like, that's going to happen to us. And this has been the thing. And so I tell, like, my coaching to a lot of leaders and employees that have been raising this as a concern is like, what do you believe that you can do? What's in your control? Because what's going to happen? What's in your control that you could do to make you feel more comfortable with how things are evolving? How are you using AI today? How can it complement? Or where can you look for solutions? Because no one really seeks to find someone that is solving problems in the company. So maybe you make it work for you. And I said, like, when we were prepared for this, one of the funniest things, and I think I really embrace is like, instead of treating it like AI like your enemy, act like it's the unpaid intern that you needed. Like, and I'm like, exactly. Let's talk to talk to AI and be like, here's the situation that I have. Like, here's what I'm doing every day. How can we work together? What solutions? And start to let it kind of help you build that, come up with solutions. And then you look like the smartest person in the room. Like, be
That's
like,
right.
this is what I came up with. Try not to use the words that look exactly like you wrote it with the AI chatbot. But
Right, right,
no,
right.
but that is just like, start to really think about, like, instead of being afraid of it, give it a shot. What could you do differently? What are the art of the possibility if you start to embrace what that is and then make it work for you and see how it could actually help you be a more valuable asset? And so instead of worrying about what part of your job is going if it's going to take your job, figure out how it can
Yep.
and how you could become invaluable.
Exactly, exactly. And there's a term that's circulating now that's actually pinpoints exactly that. It's called FOBO. So instead of FOMO, fear of missing out, it's called FOBO, fear of becoming obsolete. This is an actual real thing, right? Employees are and not just employees, just workers, all of us, we're all employees. I think that FOBO is a real thing, and I think it is our job as, the shepherds of our workplaces and our employees to help them become less worried about becoming obsolete. I think it really is our job. Our job as HR, but mostly our job as leaders in a company to help our employees not feel that. Because guess what happens when they feel that? It impacts their work, right? It's just going to. I mean, they're going to be
Mhm.
worried about that. And oh, by the way, they're probably going to start to hoard some information and be less inclined to share it
Mhm.
because they're worried about, if I'm the only person that has this expertise, then I'm safe, right?
Mhm.
That's not true, first of all.
No.
And I've seen this like happen where people think that, and it does not work in their favor. So to your point, LaToya, it's like, we're going in this direction. Embrace it the best you can. And we do have to find a way as leaders to be responsible and help our employees, ask the dumb questions, make mistakes with it. Like, I mean, not
Yeah.
big mistakes like putting confidential data in a chat. Please don't do that.
Exactly.
Um,
Don't do that.
don't do that. But it's okay. We're all at varying stages of a learning curve, right? And I think that we need to be embracing that more, and it is our responsibility to help our employees, I think, learn how to embrace that more.
Yep.
Marcy,
I
what
was
do you
gonna say, like,
think? Mhm.
one of our
Yeah.
technology leaders too had a great idea. And again, it's not like super novel. It's basically like a Shark Tank version of like how to use AI, and said like it was an engagement strategy. So we partnered on it, but it was like a hackathon to say, okay,
Yeah.
here's the call to action. Like, figure out, you basically develop a use case using AI in in our existing business, solve a problem that has been brought to you, but use AI as first of all, it was like a super fun experience to just watch all these teams come up with stuff. Do you know
Yes.
something that I will tell you, and this is kind of where I build on the like coaching is, I can't remember the exact dollar amount, but the amount of savings calculated if we implemented these things
I
was
believe
way
it.
more than the synergy targets that we had at that time. And that was a great example of how, like, we empowered them. And people were so excited. And we implemented a lot of these things. So
Mhm.
it's like people felt like they were more in control. Like, I created a solution that actually, and it was things like,
Yes.
how can you cut down the amount of time that the lawyers spend reviewing contracts for
Mm.
procurement? Like, because
Yes.
it could summarize it and then you can actually do X, Y, Z. And it wasn't about replacing the lawyers. It was like, we hire a lot of external firms to do this because they don't have the capacity to do it. And so it actually
Exactly.
calculated how much time it would save in the use of external things. So just as an example, like reports that could be automated and look across multiple different customer profiles and say, hey, this is where your area of opportunity is, versus somebody who has to sit there for 16 hours a day, read the reports, and then come up with the summary that they send in a PowerPoint presentation at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
Yeah.
Not an awesome, and that person still has 16 hours worth of work to do the next day that they didn't get to because somebody needed that report that day. So it was things
Exactly.
like that were much more eloquently and they had real cool graphics and stuff to show that. But it was a really good example of how people could make, how like you can use the people in your organization and help use it as an engagement tool to actually say, you guys are closer to the problem. Tell us where we can solve things that
Mhm.
AI or technology can actually help drive cost savings.
Yeah.
Because like, to your point, Marcy, you as a person know what's really happening in the business. You
That's
prompt
right.
the tool and come up with the solution together.
Yeah. That's why I think that there's so much talk right now about how important again, I hate calling them soft skills or power skills or whatever skills you want to call them, but Marcy, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because I think to your point, we don't want to get away from, and we can't get away from, having leaders that have those types of power skills that can still keep us all human. It's showing empathy, it's showing understanding, it's providing that kind of psychological safety for our employees. We will never get away from needing to develop those skills and then use them daily with employees. It's going to be so critical to the point that if you're thinking about getting somebody a technical, certification, whatever that could be, a PHR, a CCNA, whatever it is, guess what? You also need to be making sure that they're scaling up in these really important power skills, especially if they're leaders or they have the aptitude or ability or interest in becoming leaders, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. I think, I personally feel at the end of the day, AI is not going to fix your life. It's not going to, fix an operating model that's broken if you can't diagnose it first. It's not going to give a leader all of a sudden amazing leadership skills if the leader is not willing to invest in their development. It's not going to come in and replace a conversation that you need to have an employee who's off track, where you need to be very specific about what it is that's off track. It's not going to replace the empathy when somebody comes to you and says, you know what, I'm having a really bad week and I'm having some issues at home and I really need, to be seen and heard in that moment. And that's where I go back to the fact that, there's things that I think AI can do really well with operational efficiency. But again, it's not and it should not replace the human experience, because that's what we came here to do. And I think where it can be amazing is exactly to some of your points, which is, no, I don't want to field phone calls about, absentee policies and, conversations about return to work. I actually do want time to be more strategic and have strategic conversations and have conversations that I feel will add value to the entire strategy of the organization, or value to the person that I'm sitting across from and coaching and helping them navigate a complex challenge in their life that an artificial intelligence is not going to be able to assist them with because it doesn't understand. So this is where I feel there is a bridge and there is two roads, and there's either the road where I see some people who are only, using it when they need it and they understand that there's efficiencies and they understand that it's going to make things better. And then I see a path, of people where it's like, oh my gosh, you're literally letting it run your life,
your whole life.
And that's where I'm like, you might want to reevaluate things. And so I'm very much in the camp of, I have to get on board with it. And I'm finding ways to get on board with it that make sense for me. But in no way, shape, or form am I down for it taking over everything. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Marcy, since your hateration seems to be coming down quite a bit.
Oh,
Right. So
Matt and I still beef. We still have.
you're like, I know you had an argument, so it seems like things are getting a little bit better. What are our kind of like AI hacks? Like, what have you used it for? Like, and what's been like the thing that you're like, wow, like that really saved me a lot of time, or like, this is my go-to way to use AI now.
I think, for me, it's been certain times where I'll have posts, and things that I'm putting together, and I'll have like 50 different ideas literally in my head. And I'm like, oh, I want to post this. I want to post this. And then I'm like, okay, here's a common theme of things that I want to post. And I will literally put in there, I'm like, I call my chat Steven for some reason. I don't know why. It's so funny. Like, and literally,
the question I would like to also know what we were calling these chat.
Literally, like, I call it Steven. And I don't know why, but I'm just like, for some reason, damn it, Steven came out of my mouth one day and it just stuck. And I was like, damn it, Steven, do not change. So I literally will put in there, I prompt, do not change what I am saying. The only thing I need you to do is organize this in key themes and then help me think of how a content calendar would look. So each week it'll say, oh, today was the day you wanted to post this. So I use it as almost like a calendar to organize myself. But I am like, damn it, Steven, if you change my words one more time, I'm unplugging you. Like, it's literally that kind of conversation. So
I love that.
Steve is probably like, yo, Marcy, you're like, you're a super bossy. Like, let's just like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like
It's
we're
like-
not really working together. You should ask Steven for feedback. Like, how do you think this relationship is going?
Do it. I want
You know
to hear
what's
what
funny?
Steven says to you.
You know what's funny is that it literally it like does the opposite where it probably shouldn't. It like gasses you up. It's like, you're amazing. I'm like, no, you should probably tell me to like take it down 10 notches
Yes.
instead of saying that I'm amazing. I just called you an
Honestly.
a-hole. Like,
right. And now
I'm
I'm
like, you're
amazing.
so spot on for that. I am.
yeah.
Right. Okay, I have a couple of fun things I've used it for. I'll just so by the way,
Yeah, I want to know.
when I'm talking about this, I'm clearly talking about more like these chat bots. So I'm not talking about agentic AI
Yes.
in
Yeah,
business.
very
I'm just having a
different.
little fun with it in terms of generative
Very different.
AI. So a couple things. My daughter's moving. They're looking to buy a house. She sent me some pictures the other day. It was like kind of an older home that it would need new floors, new paint, new thing. She took the pictures from the Zillow posting, popped it into AI, and said, "I want it. This is my aesthetic. Just give me some options."
Nice.
She sent me the pictures. I was like, it's gorgeous, right? So that
That's
was kind of
awesome.
cool. I was like, I think actually, LaToya, I think you gave me this idea. I put a prompt in ChatGPT. This is before I was I started switching over to Claude a little bit more lately, but Claude's a little better with Excel spreadsheets and documents and that sort of thing.
I'm gonna have to break
But
up with you
ChatGPT
again.
is still my buddy, and I call ChatGPT. Mine is Chappy, by the way, because I'm just so not creative. But I said, "Hey, Chappy, like I need like I'm feeling washed out. Here's some pictures of me. My girlfriend did this color analysis. Help me do one." And next thing I know, they're like, "These are the colors that look good on you. This is the oh, by the way, here's the lipstick you should go buy. Don't you know I was on Sephora buying lipstick and I was buying shirts all I went on a shopping spree all because of Chappy telling me what I needed to do." And I'm not kidding you. It was this morning. Okay, I wasn't wearing this, obviously, but I had a meeting for coffee earlier this morning, and the woman behind the counter was like, "That color looks so good on you. It really brings out your eyes." So I was like, "Oh, hi, thank you. That was Chappy." Like I couldn't help it. I had to.
You're like, is this a store you went to? Like, no,
I just
AI
started
is
yapping. I was like, "Let me tell you all about how this came about." So what else? Yeah, the house, the color analysis. I mean, definitely writing things, posts for IG, LinkedIn. Although I've kind of backed off of that a little bit for the reasons you talked about early, Marcy. Like I'm sick of hearing the same things, and some of it doesn't sound like me. So I've started to which is why I created the voice guide and said, "Hey, don't do that. I want to sound like me." And so that's been helpful doing that. Just like different things like that. But I really do love where we're going with agentic AI as well. I mean, because I think that these bots, and I love the idea of this hackathon or botathon. We're going to call it a botathon. Is that what we're going to
I
call it? I
like
don't know.
that. That's even better. Copyright.
There's some cool things happening, I think, there too. I mean, this is the tiniest part of AI that we're talking about. AI is much bigger than this, but these are the fun things I've been doing with it. How about you, LaToya? What have you been doing with it?
I mean, I'm the one that Marcy does. It's running my entire life. This is actually not even me. I'm an AI chatbot at this point. I was just like, actually, I've seen that happen. I've been in a meeting where somebody used their
their
just to show like that it could get like it's hard to tell when you think you can tell. It's easier to do,
No
especially with
way.
like teams. It was awesome because it sounds like
That's
you
a
can
hard
give
no.
it your voice. And the reason that people
Okay.
found out it wasn't him, though, he intentionally did it as an opening and he started
Yeah.
speaking in another language. And then it got weird because it's like, there's no way he speaks like Japanese that fluently. Like, wait, what? But it was cool.
Yeah.
But this is really me just for the record. I actually don't even know how to do it. I just thought it was cool when
Thank you, LaToya. We're glad we're talking to the real human.
what I
you.
do know how to do is plan trips. So like I have always been like the planner. And then life started lifing and things. And then I was like, listen, friends, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to do an itinerary with, like stop points and alternative reservations and all the things, because that's how I used to get down. And this was very sad for my friend group. Like, well, what do you mean? You're not going to send out a Google spreadsheet for the girls' trip? Like, how are we going to know what to wear on which days?
I guess we're
I don't
never
know, figure it out.
vacationing again. Thanks, LaToya.
It's just, that's kind of what it was coming down to. And then I saw something like on TikTok where people are like, you can use ChatGPT to plan your entire trip. And I was like, I never thought about that. I've been on at least 4 vacations now where I did nothing but say, here's where I'm going. Here's the kind of vibe I want. And we go back and forth and be like, yeah, this feels like a lot of walking. I'm not really here for that. Like I'm just, and full itinerary, ice cream stops if it's the kids. Like, I
Love
need
it.
a vacation version of this trip.
Mhm.
Like, I already went to these restaurants. If you could like help prompt like where it seems like there's all the thing. It is amazing. And then so I have planned lots of trips with that. And it's like, but then you can send it out to other people. I've done dress codes in it, all the things. So I highly recommend it for vacation planning on the personal side. Then the other one on the works, like I don't use this for work, but this kind of like a convergence. Look, being the HR friend, you get a lot of people. Can you look at my resume? Can you help me prepare for the interview? And I love all of you if you hear this. But again, if I can't plan the trip, I don't really have time to rewrite everybody's resume.
I sure don't.
But you know what? I think you're taking about 30 seconds to put your resume into the chat bot.
That's
And
right.
if you send me a job description, we're down to like 10 seconds. Cause then I'm just like, I can give you the best resume possible. So I was doing that for a while when people would ask me, I would use it. Now I've been using it to kind of do what I kind of practice, what I preach, to tell my friends, like, you know what? I'm going to teach you how to do it, because not because I don't want to do it for you, because I know that a lot of people, at least and especially in my circle, they're not sure how to use it. And I'm like, this is a teaching moment. Like, like a good HR person, I'm like, I see this as a teachable moment. Let's do it together. And I'm going to show you how you could prep for your interview. And again, a lot of it is just because, not because I don't want to do it. But I think it's also helps to kind of break down the barriers of like, it's not that hard to use. And like, you could be using this for a lot of other things. And I've had people that have said like, you've given me like AI use cases in personal life that people like what you just said, Amy, and people are like, it's helping them get more comfortable. And I'm hoping that also helps them start thinking about, like, again, don't be so afraid of it, even from your work, whatever your work is. Cause I got people in my circle from all walks of life, but like, you could use this for different things. So those are my two like go-to things, because I think it really helps to get people over the line. They'll be like, use it in your personal life first. And maybe that'll make you more comfortable with something you need. And then try to inch up and say, okay, how can I use this in my workplace to make myself more valuable, or show that I'm comfortable using this as a tool?
Yeah, and I would just add to that from a work perspective, especially for those that are, in HR who are partnering with their CIOs and others that are kind of starting to kind of create these, programs, practices, policies, et cetera, around AI. It's really important that we're using AI responsibly and ethically. And by the way, rolling out Copilot licenses is not an AI strategy. It's a great tool. I love Copilot, use it all the time. In fact, I used Copilot. I shouldn't say it wasn't me that created it. So let me just not take the credit for that. But somebody on my team created our HR bot that we named Mickey, by the way. Don't ask. It's just a great name. We love it. But we used Copilot to create this agentic bot, right? For our employees, but not without first, I think, and again, it's in a pilot phase, but even before that, like, it's so important to have policies and guardrails, because people, not with any ill will or ill intention, you certainly don't want to be dropping client confidential information into ChatGPT. Don't ever do that. Like, there are just so many things that we really have to be responsible and educate our employees around, and making sure that we're using this amazing technology in a way that is, I think, respectful and ethical, and certainly within your company guidelines. So yeah, Marcy, what would you say to wrap us up from the human side?
I think that's what it is people just want to know that we're going to use our best judgment. And that's why I laugh, because I come back to the judgment has to come from your own brain, and it's not going to come from a mainframe or a computer. This is where I feel, again, that it's not going away. To both of your points, it's not. It's here to stay. If anything, it's going to get even probably more evolved from this. And no, it's not going to eliminate everybody's job. It has, in some cases, some people can argue that it has, but I don't feel that it's going to completely take away from the human experience. And as we evolve as a society anyway, I mean, there might be other jobs or other things that people might need to explore that might be better suited for them anyway. And so I think that's the other thing is I've been preaching this for probably a few years now, telling people that, you should have a side hustle. You should have other things to fall back on. You shouldn't just, solely do one thing anymore, because it's just the way the world is evolving. And you can use these tools to have fun. You can use them for certain things. Like, both of your points, I think, are valid. I mean, using it to plan trips, or sometimes, like, as a joke, I'll throw in, here's my ingredients and I want to make this. Like, pull something from the web for me really quick on a recipe.
Yeah.
There's things that you can use it for, and you don't have to drop your entire life into it, nor should you. And again, I don't think that we should forget the fact that we're still going to need sound judgment in everything we do, especially in business. So no, I don't want a leader pulling up their phone mid-conversation and saying, hold on, I gotta, figure this out and chat's gonna help me. It's like, no, I do still want to hear from you, even if it's messy, because that's the whole point of life. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fumble. It's okay to learn from those things. That's how we grow and that's how we get better. So allowing yourself to still have a messy human experience is what I'll always champion. But at the same time, I have to get on board with how to use it. And that's what I've done. And so LaToya, to your point, like I've taken courses and things online and learned how to use it. And I still feel like a geriatric millennial, although I like better and better. I still feel like that because I'm like, damn, like I watch my 14-year-old niece and she's much more advanced, in using these things than I am. So we do have to get to a place of comfortability. And I think everybody's going to have to figure out what that looks like for them.
Yep,
honestly.
agree. LaToya, any parting words from you?
I think it's just like this super like corporate cliche, but I'm still at the work in progress. But like call to action is that's the corporate cliche is to like try something new. Like, and I think like we're always looking to engage together on the social. So like as we roll this out, like tell us how you're using it or how you use it. Like Amy, your color analysis story is gonna be my favorite because like people ask me this all the time. They're like, how do you know what colors to wear? And I keep trying to tell people that I did this color analysis, but I didn't know. I didn't think that, now I got to like tee this up. But I really want people to just challenge, whether it's at work, is personal, like just challenge yourself to do it and like start small. I mean, Marcy, like, I know I came in this and was like, I'm going to just like challenge everything you say, but you're spot on. Like, don't take the human out of it. You're in control. Like, it is artificial, but it could be your friend or your foe and you choose which path you go. But if you kind of start and like hold hands for this journey, I think you'll find some ways that it could really help you.
I think that's great.
Agreed.
I love that. And I love that the final ask is we'd love to hear from you. So find us on social.
Yes.
Let's engage. We want to hear all your stories. And honestly, I want to hear how others are using ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, all of them. I want to hear what you're using it for too, because maybe I need some new ideas. So
Exactly. Really, this is very selfish ask. I really just want to know like what other things am I doing?
Exactly. And now I might switch to Claude because I think Steven and I are breaking up now.
Yep. Steven's mad at you.
Given the
Called him
level
an
of
a-hole,
abuse
so
that you've given Steven, I can understand how you got
Steven.
All right,
I have no idea where that
thanks
came
for,
from.
That's right. Thanks for joining us, fellow Misfits. We'll look forward to talking to you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to HR Misfits, where people leadership gets real. If this conversation resonated with you, follow the show and subscribe wherever you watch or listen. And if you're a leader navigating complex, high-stakes people decisions, we're also building the HR Misfits Collective, a place for real counsel, not HR theater. You can find us online at www.thehrmisfits.com.